day is it, Panda?
What day is it, Roxy?
It's I'm in Control Day.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Is that a real holiday?
That's a real holiday. I'm in Control Day. So the internet told me so it must be true. So, for I'm in Control Day, I read 50 Shades of Grey.
Ooh. Yeah, you weren't expecting that one, hey?
50 Shades of Grey was written by E.O. James. It was written in 2011. And it has 3 books in its series, 50 Shades Grey, Darker, and Freed. With the spin-off series of Grey and Darker written in Christian Grey's point of view. In this book, I'm only counting 3 major characters. That's Christian Grey.
He's a billionaire cold fish with a secret in his closet. And not the good, God-given, Yowie kind.
The billionaire with the playroom, his own jet, his own helicopter, and his own playroom. And we're not talking Xbox. And then we have Anna Steele, the Mary Sue who doesn't do anything except not know anything about herself. Do I like the spanking? Do I not like the spanking? I don't know. I'm Anna.
Bella Swan.
I'm only here so that the middle-aged women who read this book actually can get invested in the story. And then we have Mrs. Robinson. And the only reason I'm counting her is because of how many times she's mentioned. The reason why Grey is into BDSM is because of Mrs. Robinson basically teaching him when he was 15. And I'm going to go with the word teaching. Teaching. So, Anna meets Grey. Grey is immediately interested in her. But he tells Anna to stay away from her. Then he sends her presents. And he can't stay away from her. And then suddenly, she signs an NDA. He shows her the contract, the infamous contract. He shows her the playroom. Oh no, she is a virgin. We're gonna remedy that. Then she goes off to do research. Then there's sex, and then there's emails, and then there's sex, and then there's spanking, and then there's sex, and then there's emails, and then there's birth control, and then there's more sex. And then dinner with Grey's family. And then there's a bombshell. She's going to Georgia to meet her mother. And then there's more sex. And then she wants to know more about Grey, so she trades information for spanking. And then he tells her, Mom's a crack whore. His words, not mine. And then there is interviews. Anna goes for interviews. And then she goes to Georgia to spend time with her mother. And then there's email drama. And then Anna-Mom bonding time. And then more email drama. And then Grey goes to dinner with Mrs. Robinson. There's more email drama. Then she gets drunk with Mom. Oh wait, there's Grey. Her mother tells her to go with Grey. And then there's more sex. And then more drama. And then gliding. And then sex. And then emails. And then sex. And then the infamous spanking. And I'm leaving scene.
Well, I liked it.
You liked it.
Oh, absolutely.
Why?
I thought that was obvious. 50 Shades of Grey is the very first time that we have a full mainstream release of what is, narratively, in terms of its characters and structure, in terms of its content, essentially a hentai. How could I not be pleased by that? A hentai, ladies and gentlemen, has been released in written novel form in the U.S. English-speaking consumer market. And that is a great accomplishment. Congratulations, Miss James.
It's just...
Don't get me wrong, the text was absolute crap, but that's what makes it so great.
Tell me about the text being crap. There's so much. Like, you know, I could probably pick this apart piece by piece. And, I mean, a lot of people have done reviews about 50 Shades of Grey at this point. But I kind of feel I have, like, a few opinions that probably haven't been heard yet.
Including mine!
Yes, because you liked it because it was...
It's so good! Gotta talk about my inner goddess now.
Oh my god, I can't stand the inner goddess. I can't stand the inner goddess. I can't stand the repetitive oh my's. This woman can't explain her sexual encounters with Grey with any, I don't know, dignity to the English language.
I'm going to take you from behind, Anastasia. Ooh. It's great, guys. You need to read it.
So, I think we should talk about, like, everybody's biggest issue with it, which was the aftercare scene.
Was that everybody's biggest issue with it? I thought that the issue was that it's written as if it was fan fiction. Oh, wait.
I mean... Yeah, everybody's biggest problem was the BDSM in this, and... I mean... If you read the book, you know that E.L. James basically saw something, probably read something like, ooh, you can tie somebody up during sex and it's exciting? Like, it's a middle-aged woman realizing for the first time that sex can be interesting. It's not written by somebody who knows anything about the BDSM community. It's written by some middle-aged woman who found out some new techniques for hot sex and decided to write a fan fiction about it with her two favorite characters, Edward and Anna. If anyone is telling you that this is the guide for horny housewives to have BDSM in their lives, they have not read the book. And if they read the book, then they thoroughly misunderstand that there's no way E.O. James is even portraying any semblance of knowledge.
Yeah, guys,
of the community.
This book is far more important than being a handbook for spicing up your sex life. Come on. This is a great archetype in the field of literature right here.
There's an infamous scene where Grey spanks Anna, and everyone says there's no aftercare, he doesn't care about her feelings, he just walks out, and then he's all surprised that she's crying. I think people forget that he did ask her several times if she was okay, that he did actually rub baby oil on her, double-checked and triple-checked that she was okay. And honestly, Anna seems to be struggling with her feelings. Anna's like, I don't understand the spanking. Like, it was kind of nice, but it wasn't, but it was. And then ultimately, she seems to just get angry because he didn't stay the night with her. And she didn't even voice that concern. My biggest issue is everyone always puts the blame on Grey. And it's like, well, Anna doesn't voice her opinion for anything because she's such a blank slate. She doesn't seem to be able to have her own willpower to say, hey, you know, we just had sex, I want you to stay. And people attribute this to her being scared of Grey. No, it's literally because she's a blank blank slate. She's literally a Mary Sue. So she can't have her own emotions, her own feelings, her own wants, her own desires enough to say, hey, Gray, I want you to do X, Y, and Z because it would make me happy. That's what I feel about it. And I feel that explains away almost every problem people have with the book. No one should take this book seriously. No one. And I understand that the BDSM community is upset that they think that this is what got through mainstream. But honestly, BDSM has been in books since like before that. And unfortunately, yes, this got mainstream attention, but that's because of Twilight. Not because it was BDSM. It was because this was originally Bella and Edward.
We understand that you might be confused about that.
Not to spoil future episodes, but I did start reading Twilight, and a lot of people's problems with certain plot points in this book and future sequels comes from the fact that E.L. James literally copy-pasted Twilight into this book. There's nothing original. The only thing original is the BDSM aspect of it. Everything else is copy-paste from Twilight. So, there you go. That's literally all this is. Because I know I've been reading BDSM in books since before this. In fact, I would suggest Submission by Sherry Feather. That would be a much better book if you wanted BDSM and an actual kind of look into the community.
However, if you want a fun-filled, frolicking romance story featuring certain aspects of BDSM sex and a complete disregard for the concept of ethical applications in the bedroom,
or English,
and something that is single-handedly ensured that hentai has a mainstream audience,
and to lower your IQ,
you should pick up 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. Because we already know that you have at this point.
I would hope people have been spared from this book. I really do. The only other mention that I really have to say is, there is a section of period sex. And I only say this for the men who are out there who don't care about period sex, because I don't care about it either. But let me just say something. Do not attempt to do what Gray does in the book. Do not stick your hands down a woman's lady parts and pull out the tampon yourself and then throw it in the toilet. One, I personally would be very angry if you hurt me in the process of ejecting something out of my body that was there for my cleanliness. You could actually hurt somebody and there would be no reason to have sexual intercourse after you've hurt them down there. Two, you've now just thrown it in the toilet. My mind is going to be on how am I fishing that out of the toilet because I can't flush that.
Hey, he's a billionaire. He probably has a 10-gallon flusher. It's fine.
I'm talking to the normal, everyday, non-billionaire.
If you do not have a gold-encrusted billionaire toilet, you shouldn't do what Christian Grey does. But since you're not, what he does is perfectly reasonable.
It is not perfect.
He has a 10-gallon flusher. It's fine.
Even if it's not the toilet, he could have really hurt her.
Oh, well, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's fine. Do not pull a tampon out of a woman's body. Let them do that themselves.
Tampons also act good as nosebleed stoppers in this pinch. It's a fact.
Okay, and there's that. So
Standard first aid procedure.
So we're going to move on to the final grade. Panda, final grade.
Hey!
Oh, God.
I have stated concisely my reasons for feeling this is an important piece of literature. Or did you want me to rate it based on something else?
No, you can rate it on whatever you want to rate it on. I mean...
This is an important piece of literature.
If you want to elaborate on why you gave it an A...
I gave it an A because this is a very important piece of literature. I have no other basis for assuming that this deserves an A. If I was going to give it based on its level of personal interest, on its relatability, on anything else, sure, this is a complete piece of shit. But this is E.L. James creating a popularly consumable piece of pulp erotic fiction. And contrary to what I think a lot of people are claiming about the book, because they spend a lot more time complaining about the book than they do giving any relevant analysis about the book, I would say that this introduces us all to the world of hentai narrative structure. And that's awesome for our line of work, in my opinion. And second of all, it'll probably make people ask more questions than it will copycat syndrome. Oh, look at that. I'm going to hit my wife with a belt 6 times just to make sure she won't leave. No.
Well, that's actually not the part I was worried about people copycatting. It's more of the zip ties.
I mean, if you really want...
Sex.
Yeah, you can use zip ties if you really want and you're dumb. Because, yeah, you can use zip ties, but you should also be able to, as a knowledgeable adult, to figure out that that may not be the best idea for basic immersion in bondage concepts.
I mean, I will state this. You'll probably find more information in a Google search that you could ever find in 50 Shades of Grey. I don't think E.O. James even did a Google search. I think she read a Cosmo. And I can tell you what I think about Cosmo and their sex tips.
But there's so much fun.
Fun!
60 ways to make him scream.
No. No. But my grade is a complete and utter failure. It doesn't make me want to read it again. I would never want to read it again and subject myself to this. What is the proper word? I need a good word. Tripe. Tripe is a good word. I would never subject myself to such tripe again. The repetitiveness, I mean, I'm telling you, yes, there are some details I left out, but for the most part, I gave you a very generalized plot. Nothing almost happens in this book. At all. So, and the sex scenes aren't even that creative. She explains how she orgasms the same way with just tiny, different iterations.
Just like in a fanfiction.
I've read very eloquent, erotic fiction in my life. I would rather reread those 1,000,000 times over than read this crap again. So, F. And, I mean, I think that's it. That's all we gotta say on the matter. We'll see you next time on Roxy Reads. Bye!